What's going on out there, young world? The world is yours, and welcome to another episode of the Desire is Everything podcast. I'm one half of your co host, Sam Wright. I'm a creation coach. I help you create the lifestyle you desire by helping you discover the best version of yourself. I'm also a father, a brother, but more importantly, I'm a servant to all. My other co host today,
Hi, everybody. This is Nikesia or Nike, and I'm co hosting today. I'm excited to get started.
all right. Well, we have two phenomenal, incredibly inspiring guests today. We're going to start off with Miss Antonia Bailey. Antonia is a dedicated single mother who has turned an unimaginable tragedy into a force for change in her community. In 2019, she lost two of her oldest children, Nicholas and Ashlyn, and to a seamless act of gun violence. Her strength and compassion were profoundly displayed when she chose to forgive the young perpetrator, sparking a journey of healing and advocacy. Antonia founded the Untold Foundation in 2021 in memory of her children and has since impacted numerous lives through her various community initiatives. Her remarkable efforts have earned her the 2022 Gleaners Change Agent Award. Currently, Antonia is making a significant impact as an aggravated assault advocate, supervisor with the Indianapolis Police Department, contributing to a notable reduction in non-fatal shootings. Let's do it. We'll do a deeper into her inspiring story after we introduce Miss Ashlyn.
Yes. Miss Ashlyn, we are joined by her, a remarkable individual who has turned her personal tragedy into a beacon of hope and healing. Born and raised on the east side of Indianapolis and a Warren Central graduate, Ashlyn's not only a dedicated mother to her two children, Karis and Marion, but also a passionate victims advocate, licensed esthetician, and certified grief specialist. Her life took a pivotal turn in 2008 following the tragic loss of her sister, Chanel Walker Wells, to gun violence. This heartbreak propelled Ashlyn on a journey of healing and self discovery, ultimately leading her to dedicate her life to uplifting others. Known for her resilience and commitment to positive change, Ashlyn embodies the belief that through pain and beauty, purpose can emerge. Let's dive into her inspiring story and explore her vision for a hopeful future.
So first off, ladies, we thank you both for being guests here today on Desires Everything podcast. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
All right, well, Antonio, we're going to jump right in with you. Can you share with us what inspired you to start the Untold Foundation and the significance of his name?
Well, I'll start with the significance of the Untold Foundation. Nicholas and Ashlyn, their story is left untold. They weren't able to see. Well, they weren't able to see who they could have become, and nor was I. I get nervous.
You okay?
I'm sorry. Um, what was it? What?
You were talking about their story is untold.
Yes. So I found different ways within the community to allow children's story to be told. I would love for them to be able to paint it as bright and as beautiful as they possibly can. Um, limiting senseless acts of gun violence. I'm a firm believer that we didn't lose two children that day. We lost three because the young man that took my two children's life, he was 15 at the time.
How have the holiday drives and the back to school events you've organized impacted the families on the East Side community of Indianapolis?
I think that it has impacted them a lot. The first one literally blew my mind. We were able to impact over 200 children on that time. My first time out there just requesting help from the community. When I went to different places as far as for counseling, they told me that I'm basically putting a Band-Aid on the needs of the community. But it's so much more than a Band-Aid for me because Nicholas and Ashlyn's birthdays are at the beginning of December. So that's like a birthday party for me that I can't give to them. So I choose to give it to the community. And there's so many children out here hurting and going without. And I know what it's like to go without because we've also benefited from toy drives as well. So it's just a way for me to be able to allow parents to focus on their bills and not have to worry about Christmas. When it comes to the back to school drive, that's when I lost Nicholas and Ashlyn. They were approaching their second week of high school. Nicholas was a junior, Ashlyn was in her freshman year. So I couldn't see that out. So it's just a way for me to spread love and encourage the children to be able to look forward to their upcoming school year while providing the things that they need for school, as well as dropping off school supplies to schools as well, and allowing them to have a good time.
That is beautiful.
I love that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So, Ashlyn, can you share with us about how the loss of your sister Chanel transformed your life and led you to become a victim advocate?
Yes. You have this thing where, some people just think, I didn't think this would be my life. I guess I'm going to just lay it out there. I didn't think this would be my life. And a lot of people just have that, thought that it can't be them, but it can be you in a blink of an eye. And so it just kind of led me on a journey of self-discovery, a healing journey for sure. It made me realize some things that I didn't know about myself. I had to really take a deep look at myself because this was somebody that I basically grew up with. This is the only person I knew. So without her, I had to kind of rebuild my life without her. And so I just had to kind of, I'm not going to say replace things, but kind of just place things in my life to kind of fill that void in a positive way.
Yeah.
And so it led me to become a big victims advocate because, if I could reach out and help someone and kind of be proactive with it, again, this could be you, then my job is done, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
You do an amazing job at it too.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
How have your experience with personal loss and overcoming depression influenced your approach to help others as a certified grief specialist?
Because it can be done. A lot of people, looking at it, it's like, sheesh, I never thought I would be here. Let me see, 16 years later. My sister was killed. Her life was taken in 2008. And back then in 2008, I never in a million years thought I would be here. Physically, emotionally, mentally, in so many aspects. But I'm blessed. I'm thankful. And I know this journey, it has purpose. I know I'm here for a reason. So I just take it in daily. I still journal. Every once in a while, I call my therapist like, hey, what's up? I need you a little bit. You know what I mean? And I'm not ashamed to say that because that is a stigma in our community. And so, and I was a depressed child. Even before my sister life was taken, I suffered from depression and anxiety. So that was just another added layer when it happened to her. So I had to figure it out, honey. I definitely did. And thank God I don't look like what I've been through.
Well, I definitely appreciate you ladies both talking about the things that you do in order to help you get through it, because a lot of people don't realize there are ways to get through the fire. There are ways to get through the depression and the stress.
Yeah, but first you have to acknowledge that it's there.
Come on now,
'Cause
talk about
It
it.
took me a moment to even realize that I was stagnant after Nicholas and Ashlyn left. I felt that it was unfair for me to continue on with my life while theirs was cut short. So it might have looked like I was moving, but I was standing in place. And then Ashlyn, she's so strong. Like even with the journaling and being able to process your emotions and everything, I wear this mask. You've done seen that I choose not to cry. Like I'll hold it in because it doesn't feel safe at the time. So I'm appreciative of you even just sharing how you walk through your journey because you assist me as well.
Yeah, and I love that we're using the word journey because healing is a journey. Like I think people have this idea that, okay, once you heal, you arrive, but we never fully arrive in anything in our life. And so being able to acknowledge, like you said, yeah, I need this help, but also this is a journey and healing does not look one way. It does not look the other way. Like, it's different for everybody. And I think learning to embrace that takes a lot of strength that you are healing because healing is hard.
Yes.
Like, it's so hard.
Yeah.
And it's brutal. Like, yeah, it's so hard. But I think having community and finding your purpose in your healing, like why are you wanting to heal so much? Like what are you looking to get out of this? What are you looking to do in the midst of this? I think that is what gives you the strength to propel forward in your healing journey.
I have a question for you. Now, what if what you're supposed to be doing, you're constantly fighting at it tooth and nail because it's too heavy and too much?
I think that's okay. I think it's okay to acknowledge that that's too much.
Because this purpose that has been placed on me, it's heavy.
And so I'm a believer in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And I know that whatever our purpose is, it's never just for us. It's never just for us. So whatever we go through, yeah, it's going to be hard and it's going to hurt and our purpose might seem too heavy for us to bear. But he's called you to that for a reason.
And he's already set the path and set
Yeah.
the stage. So you just
He
have to
already
walk.
knows what's
Just
going
need
to
to stop
come.
procrastinating.
And so, yeah. So whenever it seems too heavy, that means, okay, I can't depend on myself. I can't depend on other people. I have to depend on Jesus.
Right.
Because he's the only one that can fulfill anything in my life. He's the only one. Because we're human, we want to give up, we want to cry, we want to feel like, okay, I don't have the strength for this. You're right, you don't have the strength for this because you're human, right? And so depending on Jesus is like the best thing you could ever do. The best thing you could ever do.
It's amazing.
I told y'all. And I'll piggyback on that. You know, as believers, why pray for the strength of Christ and don't use it when it's available to you?
That is true.
Why not use it? You pray for it. It's there. It's accessible. Use it.
Yeah. Walk in it. Walk in that strength.
And that's not to say that it's easy,
Right.
because
right.
we
Right.
are human.
Yeah.
But don't ask for it and don't use it when it's there.
So yeah, and like even the journey with Nicholas and Ashlyn, I understand that the Holy Spirit has already went before me.
Yeah.
I've been placed in rooms that even I wouldn't have imagined that I'm supposed to be in. And I think I told you these couple of meetings, I don't think I was supposed to be there. But he's already opened the door and paved the way for me.
For a
It's just
reason.
me that needs to
Get out your
completely
own
walk in
way.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can even, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And then you can even reflect on all the hard days. At some point that day, you close your eyes, you woke up to another day. You made it through the hard days. So why not make it through another one?
That's true.
That's true.
Now I was just gonna say healing is a weird thing. It forces you to kind of look at yourself as well as the good Lord. He forces you to look at things that you don't want to see about yourself or things that you might not want to do. It's a part of that process of healing and that journey. So it's like, dang, Lord, you really want me to do this? Or you know what I mean? So but once you walk through it, it's a beautiful thing.
And also you'll start to see your change. Well, others will see changes that have been
Oh,
made within
absolutely.
you before you even do
Absolutely.
it. Because I've been told by so many people, you're not the same person that you were. So I know that the loss has made me a better person, but it's made me a better person for all the lives that I'm meant to impact.
Ain't that
And
it?
What
I'm
you
able
said.
to impact that because
that
of the
it?
obedience.
And think about the joy you get. I was journaling the other day, and matter of fact, it was after my mastermind class, and I wrote down, my life is, I feel fulfillment after, I'm done coaching, teaching, and training someone. Like, those are the happiest moments of my life when I know I've impacted someone else. So regardless of how we got here, it's not about us. It's about who can we serve and what lives we can impact and add value to.
Absolutely.
And you're doing more now than you would have ever done had it not happened.
That's true.
That's just my belief.
It's true.
So, talk about, can you tell us more about your role as an aggravated assault advocate supervisor for the Indianapolis Police Department and how you provide support to families of gun violence?
So yes, usually we reach out to families within the first 24 to 48 hours after being impacted by a violent crime, mainly shootings. And sometimes we go to hospital beds and provide services with them, done help someone be able to save their house. Because when we have so many individuals with assault rifles that are just out here just shooting.
Yeah.
And sometimes you end up hitting the wrong home because in lack of knowledge with this gun and the fact that you don't care, you just want who you want.
Yeah.
So when landlords, even for people who don't have anything to do with that crime or know anything about that crime, when their house is shot up, the first thing they want to do is put the individual out.
Wow.
So we just try to walk through them with that journey. We provide food. We link them with counseling information. There's been an individual that I literally went to counseling with the entire time. And just to see how hurt and broken he was, and for me to be able to speak life into him. But then still him combating that life that I'm speaking into him. That's been hard in a journey as well. I enjoy what I do. It's heavy. Some days are heavier than others. But while I'm currently in the process of, I finally acknowledged that I'm taking on basically the city's trauma. And then I'm supposed to go home and deal with my own. So that's another layer that I know that I have to heal from, because I'm running away from mine. Because going to a home and there's supposed to be 3 children there. Well, not anymore, because Nicholas is 21. My baby 21.
He even got
and
a house.
Ashlyn's 20.
Right.
So, but I didn't get to see the transition. And so going home to just me and Aiden and trying to figure out life with us, that's heavy.
Got you. So off script, did you have to go through a similar transition with, trying to be forced out of your home? Because I imagine you moved.
No, my situation was completely different. I didn't know that the hand of God was all on me until seeing someone else being faced with a similar issue. But I had paid up my rent until November. So when Nicholas and Ashlyn were taken away in August, someone went over to the apartments and talked to them. They ended up refunding me all of my money.
Amen.
And didn't put it on my credit. Plus, not to mention, I remember telling Nicholas and Ashlyn the day before they left that I had been working to build up my credit, so I was able to purchase a home now.
Amen.
So I say my babies in the community purchased my home for me that we're currently in.
Amen.
But I didn't get forced out of the house. Me and Aiden did have to temporarily live in a hotel for a few months, and then one of my friends allowed me to come and stay with her for a little while.
Got you.
But even the thought of that, Aiden kept thinking that someone was going to come into that hotel room and kill us, like they did her sibling. But my little lady, she's something else. She couldn't even understand how I could forgive someone that took my 2 children, let alone send books and give love.
No one will ever understand your
I'm
journey.
still trying to figure it out, but I know it's not me, it's God.
No, yeah, you got it.
And I mean it when I have not wavered.
Yeah, you done been this far. You got it. Yeah, you got it.
So
Powerful.
good. There's so much that we can just dive into.
Right,
all
right.
day.
Yeah, you ain't got to stick. Hey, go with the flow, baby. You ain't got to stick to the script.
Yeah, so I want to ask you really quick, what do you think it would look like to set that boundary between being a city or working for the community, an advocate for the community, but also, like you said, you have to deal with your own trauma. So what do you think that boundary would look like, if you have an idea?
Good question.
I'm not sure. My mind can't wrap around it. Just because I'm just now realizing that it's that there's no boundary in between. But whilst working for the city has also allowed me to be able to process my trauma. It gave me words to what I'm feeling that I didn't even know by experiencing the life of these individuals. Wow. So they're helping me more than I'm actually helping them. I feel. So maybe once that this contract is over, we will see where God allows me to go. But I'm hoping that it will be able to focus more on Untold and be able to set my own
For sure.
standards.
I want that for you.
Indeed. Indeed.
I want that for you.
Awesome. Okay. Ashlyn, can you elaborate on the challenges you faced in finding purpose and direction after the tragedy and how you overcame them?
That's a good question. Repeat that question.
Yeah.
I need to let that. Yes.
Can you elaborate on the challenges you faced in finding purpose and direction after the tragedy and how you overcame those challenges?
Fear and trust was 2 of my greatest challenges. On top of me having to grieve the loss of my sister, I kind of was like Aiden. I was a grown adult, acting like Aiden as a child, constantly locking my doors, making sure my doors is out, looking at my window, watching my back, and I still struggle with that to this day. And, a part of that is funny because it's like before, okay, sure, violence, stuff is crazy out here. But when you're actually in that office working as an advocate and you see everything firsthand, it heightens everything.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, dang. So I basically, and then the trust part of it. I say that because me and my sister, we had a lot of the same. Matter of fact, all of our friends was the same. We shared friends, and there were so many people connected to us when she was alive. And then when she passed, a lot of them people weren't around, and then some of them I didn't want around because I just didn't trust them, and to this day, her murder is still unsolved. And so that kind of just even more, it's like, who do I trust? Because all of these people was in and out of her house, for 24 years because her life was taken at 24. And where are these people now? Why aren't they talking? And so it was a struggle for me with, like I said, the trust, the fear, but I definitely overcame it. I still struggle. Like I said, let me reiterate that. And I think part of that is because of the work I do. I know what really goes on. Yeah. The stuff we get sometimes don't even make it to the news. So we get everything raw, uncut, unfiltered.
Silly and dumb as well. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It's the world we live in.
And like she said, it definitely helps you with your healing because, I look at these people and I'm not judging at all, but I look at possibly where they came from, where they are now, their attitudes, and it's just so many layers to it. And I just look at it like, I don't want to be that person. I want to love. I want to be able to provide. I want to be healed. I want to be happy. I want to be blessed. I don't want to portray these thoughts and feelings of harming, because what they did to my sister, I don't want to project those feelings. So I have to some way filter it and balance it.
Yeah.
But the difference is too, you still have hope. You know that there's
Absolutely.
a purpose. A lot of people that
Absolutely.
we encounter,
They
they've lost
don't.
their hope.
They don't.
They don't even know that they're worth so much more than what their current circumstances are.
So think about that. Because you two have been, because of your personal experience, the people that you're dealing with, whether it's the victims or coworkers that's in the situation, how does your experience help you help them? For the ones that's going through what you've been through and the ones who have no idea.
How does it help them? Go ahead.
You're able to, I can only speak more so from the mother standpoint. You're able to help them navigate with what it's like in the beginning because the fog is so deep. You don't know what you need. You don't know what you're feeling. You don't know what is to come next. Your main focus and goal is your child. So I just try to be able to let them know that, hey, baby, that fog is deep and I understand it. Just take a breath. But at the same time, while you're worrying about that individual, make sure that you're taking time and worrying about you.
Come on now.
And then when it comes to the actual survivors, I just let them know that my goal is to be able to get you back to where you were, if not better than where you were. And I don't know what it feels like being shot, but I do know what it feels like losing children. And my child would have been this age or that age. And then just trying to be that support system to help walk them through. Some people are receptive, others are not. Some parents too. I had a mom of an 8-year-old that said that her daughter was built for this. Was
What?
built to be shot. Nobody. We're not even built to even wrap our heads around losing our children, let alone them being shot. And you're saying that this baby is built for this? It's very rare that we find moms that even ask their kids, how are you feeling after a traumatic incident? And I'm guilty of it. Back because me and my kids were in a tornado back in 2008 in the same apartments that I lost them in. After that tornado, I expected them to go. I never once asked them
How you feel?
how you feel about that. Now, going through everything that I've experienced, I can now ask Aiden how she feels about this. What do I need to make things better? So I can see where they are at this standpoint. So I let them know, ask them how they're doing. Ask them if they're having flashbacks or bad dreams. Because sometimes they try to be strong just to make sure that they're strong for you.
Right.
And that's too much to bear. So I think that hopefully I've been able to help a couple of people in regards to that.
Indeed.
You got anything?
I think you did.
Did I answer the question?
Yes,
No,
you
that
did.
was
You
what we was
definitely
looking for.
did.
So let's talk about the people that you're working with who have no clue because they've never been shot, they've never lost anyone close to them. How difficult is that? Because I'm quite sure you have some people who talk behind the scenes who don't really probably don't believe in what you're doing. But I mean, how difficult is it to work with people who have no idea? Because I don't, but I'm just a compassionate person.
I see what you're
Yeah. So
saying.
how difficult is it to work with people who have no idea what the victims are going through or what you've been through?
It's hard. You know, it's definitely hard. But it just leads me back to that point. You are literally a second away, if however you want to put it. You know, this could be you.
Right.
But I find that when it comes to gun violence in our community, a lot of people don't want to talk about it.
Just brush over it.
Which is a problem.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so how are we gonna find a solution if people don't even want to talk about it, let alone can't even put themselves in your shoes for a second? You know, and trust me, this is not a situation that you want to be in, and I don't wish, this on my worst enemy. But again, in order to find a solution, you have to be transparent about it. I can't stress that enough. And because we have to, well, at least try to hire somebody. I don't know if we'll ever do it. We got a position open, but I go back and forth with Antonia a lot. Like, this role is not for everybody.
Facts.
I can't imagine, and it may be possible, but I can't imagine somebody taking on this role that hasn't experienced what we've experienced, because it's just a different ball game.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
It did.
Okay.
It really did. Nike.
Yeah. Everything's just like so deep.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you talk about your experiences as a certified grief specialist? Like, what led you to want to be certified in grief specifically?
Just my own grief journey. And I knew after a while, immediately, I wasn't immediately per se thrown in the spotlight after but I did a lot of news interviews. I talked to a lot of people, but I didn't know my purpose was so much more greater, and that I become a victim's advocate and almost dang near a community activist. And so I just wanted to be able to have knowledge. And also going through that certification process and schooling process, it helped me with it once again forced me to look at things with my own grief journey. And so I just wanted to be able to help people through that properly, not only from a personal standpoint, but also from a credential
Sure, yeah.
standpoint. You know what I mean? And so, that's basically how I became a certified grief specialist. And so, and grief comes in all forms. Any loss, it can be considered a grief. I don't want people to think that only losing a person is grief. Losing a home, you can grieve over that. A car, a dog, a spouse, money. There's so many things you can grieve over. But a lot of times when people call me and reach out for my grief services, it is because they've lost somebody. Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine really quick. So, was it 2022? I lost my cousin I was really close with to cancer,
sorry.
and then I lost my aunt.
Say her
like, the
name.
following
Say their
month.
names.
Yeah.
My cousin Diamond, and then my aunt Carolyn, literally within like 2 weeks span. So just going through the journey of grief, and just like, I just could not imagine being specialized in grief, just because that journey is so heavy for me still. Like, I still fear losing someone, because I feel like when I experience grief, like, it comes in waves, and it's just very, very heavy. So for you to be able to take that and inspire other people, like, that is just, both of you, like, that is just so profound. And it reminded me of this book that I read called Grief is Love. I think you both would love it. I'm blanking on the author right now, but it's called Grief is Love. And she talks about losing various family members throughout COVID, and like even before COVID. And she talks about towards the end, like, finding how you can honor the person you loved, throughout your life. And so she said, like, whether that looks like you traveling because they love to travel, whether that's you doing toy drives because your kids, you love doing that for your kids, you love giving them parties, like that's honoring that person you loved. And because of that, like you are carrying on who they were on this earth. And so I think both of you you're doing that. Like your grief is love and you're sharing that love with other people in your journeys. And so, yeah, I think you both will love that book.
Thank you.
You remember I told you that
Thank
about
you.
Diamond when she passed?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. That's
Finding ways to honor that person that you lost.
That's powerful. Wow.
And losing people back to back, like it's almost re-traumatizing. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, they experience those re-traumatizing are things that send them through another grief process, and it's definitely heartbreaking. Because a year later, after I lost my sister, my ex-husband, he was shot 3 times in front of my place. He was actually picking me up to take me on a date. And some people try to rob him in some apartments that I just moved in. And so imagine getting your sister taken, and then exactly a year later, like my sister was taken summer 2008. This happened the end of summer 2009. And to experience that firsthand, to hear those gunshots, all of that was like re-traumatizing. Seriously. So, taking those back-to-back losses, it was hard. It was hard. I heard it. I was still trying to grieve my sister, and then now I am grieving him because he's laid up in the bed, can barely, daily operate. It was hard. But again, I got through it. I made it through. And he's doing well.
Good.
Just to piggyback off of that somewhat, losing Nicholas and Ashlyn at the same time, the journey of trying to figure out how to grieve or think about either one of them. If I'm thinking about one, I feel bad and would force myself to think about the other.
Oh, wow.
And then, so that was a back and forth thing.
Wow.
And then finally had to realize that they were 2 different individuals. Both played 2 different parts within my life. So it's okay. It doesn't make one feel less
Right.
than the other. That's just the way that you choose to process and cope. And then when it comes to the triggers, that's what I like to call them. Because what sirens are my triggers. Gunshots sitting outside in the back on my patio, hearing them from distance, they're re-traumatizing. It's the smallest thing, or even seeing those white vans. Because each time you see one of those, you know that someone has lost their life. So now what me and Aiden do, we pray for the first responders because nobody thinks about them and that trauma that they now have to take home. They're the first people on the scene to take care of this person that may or may not make it. And then the family, and then of course the person that might be in that car or laying on that ground. So that's just one thing that we found ourselves practicing. And it's unfortunate that it's happening so much now.
And I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this. I know we got
No,
to
don't
move
be
on,
sorry.
but you
Let's
reminded
flow.
me when my mother, she told me something after my sister died. It was this constant back and forth, like the shoulda, the coulda, the woulda. If I was there, what would have happened? She had a gun permit. She had a gun in the house, but unfortunately, God had a different, story. So, but I say that to say, for a long time, I would tell my mama that I wish I was there. I wish I was there. One day she finally told me, now what I would have done if I would have lost 2 daughters that night.
Come on, mama.
And it always makes me think about Antonia and her situation because she actually did.
You actually did.
So yeah.
And she wouldn't have. It's only by a miracle that we still see.
Oh, for sure.
So she didn't need to experience it.
No.
Can you talk about if there's a moment, this is for both of you, if there's a moment doing your work that either deeply impacted you or it changed your perspective?
I think I'm deeply impacted daily. I think it's a daily thing. Because we run into so many situations. It's like, it definitely makes you think. It makes you look at life different. So yeah, I'm impacted daily, whether it's in a I'm not going to say a negative way, but maybe in a hurtful way or in a happy way. You know what I mean? I'm constantly being impacted in this role.
And the same, but I think mine was before even getting into this role. Just finding out that there's parents that lock their children in closets throughout the day from the time of toddler. Like, how can you do something like this to this gift that God has blessed you with? And then wondering why they turn out to be the individuals that they are, or even just finding out that a lot of people are struggling when it comes to food or just basic necessities. So their mom sends them out to the street. Mom sends them to the street to get it. And I found that before jumping in this role. And my mind still has a problem with wrapping around it. And then now within this role, you see the people that have got it. A couple of young people have shared with me from a young age, they knew that they were homeless, bouncing around from bus stop to bus stop in the middle of the night with their mom and their siblings, not being able to stay in one place. I think I recently spoke to you about that. My heart couldn't take it. I would have to find somewhere for my kids to go, because any of us can be in that situation. And I think that you said that there's two sides, either the parents that take their children with them and they see everything, or the ones that drop them off and then you don't know what happens to them while they're dropped off. So I know being in both situations have to be hard, but our community needs to heal. Because one thing someone told me, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Daddy may or may not be there.
Right.
He may be incarcerated. He may have got killed, or he may just chose to walk away. Mama's always there. While we do need our black men, we need y'all. But at the same time, us mothers, even though we've experienced the trauma and we're allowing it to dictate our life, we still need to figure out how to put us on the back burner so that way we won't lose our children, because we're messing them up. And I say we as a whole, because some point in some life, it was us. The decisions that I made during not growing up, in my adulthood when Nicholas and Ashlyn were younger, I've always put my children first. But me not even being completely there mentally because of the different things that I experienced. Nicholas had the choice to go left or right. I'm thankful he went left. Lenny would refer to him as a goody two-shoes. Ashlyn tested the waters.
Okay.
But he could have been the individual that could be behind bars, like the young man that took my kids, if he chose to make that choice. So I'm thankful that I was able to instill the love into both of them that I did, for them to make the right decisions. I just wish that the young man who took their life, his mom, would have stepped out of her way and did the same.
So what is your hope or your goal for the legacy of Nicholas and Ashlyn through the work you're doing with the Untold Foundation? So what does that big picture look like?
I have no clue. I'm literally just walking. I've been told that it's bigger than me now. God, and I just need to fully jump into the path that God has placed for me. So I would love to be able to have a community center to bring back home economics, because that's been lost over the years. Conflict resolution, a computer system room. What else? A place for kids to come shopping for clothing without having to pay for things.
Gotcha.
Being able to give more scholarships away. Just literally being able to feed life into the children so they can go further than my children were allowed to.
Put in the atmosphere.
It's coming.
Put in the atmosphere.
I know that's right.
I love that.
And Ashley, you can answer the same thing. What do you hope for the legacy of your sister in the work that you're doing?
I would say the same. I just want to, just reach out to these kids, give them something to do, give them hope. The hopelessness is real out here. Just give them something to live for so that their children have something to live for. Because the parents, sometimes we hand down generational trauma to our kids and we don't even realize it. And so if we can some way turn this around, now I'm about to start rambling, but I do a lot of reading and stuff. And I was telling Antonia about, because I just thought it was so interesting. So back like in the 1940s, they had it was called the Tryon. I don't know if y'all heard the Tryon rat experiment race.
Yep.
And what they did was basically took 100 rats, put them in 2 separate environments. You know, this group of rats, it was 100 of them. They gave them food, water, shelter, adequate light, room to run around. The other 100, you know, they didn't have anything for them. And what they did, they just seen how they reacted in those type of environments. Well, the ones, of course, it was dog eat dog for them. They was killing each other, going crazy. But then they switched them. And the ones that were going crazy, killing each other, did a whole 360. Now they was thriving, living life. They had light, food. And so if we could do that, you know, I'm sure they did that experiment for a reason, right? And so if we could do that and instill that in our children, if we can give them something to live for, you know, and allow them to be able to thrive and give them a better life, like it's possible, because some people look at these kids like, they ain't gonna grow up to be anything. But set them up for greatness.
Yes.
Put them in an environment where they can thrive. They can be anything they want to be. And I'm just blessed that, you know, I had parents that allowed me to kind of, you know, be myself and thrive, and, you know, they cared for me. And I understand not everybody has that. But if I can be that person in a person's life that didn't have that, they can be anything they want to be.
But not only that, to say what you said as far as set them up in an environment that thrives. Even if that environment around you doesn't thrive, make that home what thrives them. Speak life into them. There's so many children that don't even actually know their name because they're called everything but.
But that's true.
One thing is I never talked down to Nicholas and Ashley or Aiden. I made sure that I brought them up, spoke life into them.
Absolutely.
And I guess that paid off because they were some amazing children.
Amen.
But so many children don't
They
get
don't
that.
get
So let's start in our home. Don't let what we see determine how we speak to our children.
Yes.
Tell them, I know that you're smarter than that decision that you just made. You're going to do great things. Just find different resources to be able to help as well.
Because then in return, that's a trickle effect.
Come on.
You know, you speak life to your children, and then maybe when they get to school, you know, they friend next to them, you know, and they speaking life into them, and then it just
The
is.
light shines.
Yes,
So yeah.
Behaviors are learned.
absolutely,
Behaviors are learned.
absolutely.
And just going back to like trauma being something that's often passed down from our parents or just like our ancestors, like us Black people. right?
Absolutely.
Like the trauma that our ancestors experienced during slavery. There's another book that I was reading called My Grandmother's Hands. It's really good if you would love to read about trauma and like how the brain processes trauma and all that. But yeah, like that's what the author talks about, is how every little thing, every emotion when you're in your mother's womb, all of her emotions are passed down to you. And so,
That's
yeah,
real.
genetically, like, and so when you're born, you have, they call it some people call it the monkey brain, or like, that's like the back of your emotions and how you process things, and you have the frontal lobe, how you process things. That's like the science behind it. But when we're born, like we learn how to survive. And so if you don't have those support systems, if you don't have that resources to, you know that, okay, maybe I shouldn't respond in this way, you're going to keep reacting out of your monkey brain because that's how you survive, right?
That's funny.
So, yeah.
Because your brain,
That's a monkey brain.
it'll shut down different areas
Yeah.
and only put up survival. So like a lot of these children, they're just strictly in survival.
Survival.
Yeah.
And their
that's
parents
why they're
are
nothing-
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like how to unlearn that, and
Oh,
how
yeah.
do we continue to teach these positive affirmations to kids and
One thing I do is
encourage
pass
them.
out affirmations too, and
I love
everything,
that.
all the books and everything. I pass out affirmations.
Speak life. I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, I know we were told that it's generational curses, but it's really generational patterns because we were taught how to live a certain way. And, you know, 9 out of 10 times, if you see your family living a certain way, you're going to follow that pattern. It's not a
You
curse, it's a
know, That's
pattern.
what you grow up
Yeah.
around.
And not even normal, knowing that potential behavior is I call it normal dysfunction. You know, some people normalize dysfunction.
Don't
It's
they?
crazy, and I'm like, wait a minute, this ain't.
So now, what about the people that are born into the dysfunctional family, but they want different? They see something different. I think that was me.
Yeah.
So I separated so I could get
You
different
have to.
Yeah.
You have to. Ain't that what they did in the rat experiment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll find people like that throughout time who saw something growing up that they didn't like and said, I want better for not only me but for my children. And like I said, so you will have a unique situation like yourself. Us, me and their mother coming from South Bend, family being around, drugs and violence and stuff. We wanted different for our kids. And so they're a testament to what we wanted intentionally to be instilled in them. So we made sure that, that
Right.
And I've seen your son too. Some amazing.
yes,
Yes.
we are truly blessed. But like I said, we were intentional. What we taught them growing up, the foundation we set for them, who we had them around, education. Like I said, we were very intentional, and we couldn't be more proud of our 3 children.
And I think we don't realize that until now,
Oh,
obviously.
absolutely.
But I'm like so
Absolutely.
grateful. And I think what you said, like when you're that person that you realize, okay, I don't want that for my life. Like I want to be different and I want to separate myself. I think sometimes there's a guilt because I know that I've experienced like a guilt, like, oh man, like I have cousins, they're doing whatever they do and it's obviously not the best lifestyle for them, but it's like I want them to experience more. But then I'm like having to set that boundary of, okay, this is my purpose. This is what I need to focus on right now. And I can't always worry about them. So sometimes there is that guilt of, man, like, am I just leaving them behind? But no, I have to learn that they're going to go through their own journey of life. They're going to experience what they experience. And I can only pray for them and pray that Jesus fix their circumstances, gives them the heart to change and transform. And I can still encourage them. And that might look different in every season that I'm in.
Sure.
But yeah, there's something to be said about that. For sure.
It is. I think it's hard. Go ahead. You sure? Yeah, okay. I'm not gonna-
Because I'm about to say, I'm probably going to get my black card taken. But look, so there's this joke, right? So when we were growing up, like we literally grew up off of Barney and Disney movies, right? My parents, they didn't let us watch Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood and Juice, right? And so I was today years old. Like literally this year, I've watched Boys in the Hood, right?
Tragedy. No.
And it was a good movie, don't get me wrong. And I'm like, oh, which one got Kane in it?
A menace to society.
Okay, I seen that, and I was like, Kane. Like, and this movie been out for years, right? But
Hood classic.
it is a classic. But looking at that movie, I understand why my mother probably didn't want me to watch that at a young age. It was so much gun violence and
it was
shooting
real.
and blood. It was real life,
Yeah,
right?
real life.
Protecting your eye gate and your ear gate.
Yes. And it was tough to watch as an adult. So I like watching it as a child, I can only imagine what it could have done to me, constantly watching those movies. Because they say, our music and movies and those things affect us, right?
Yes.
And so I'm just glad I grew up off of Barney and gospel music. And, I'm not saying I'm perfect. But at the same time, I just wasn't exposed to those things. And I appreciate that now as an adult, right?
Amen.
Oh, and mine
Yes.
was somewhat as far as what you were saying. You had to basically separate yourself for your cousin. You wanted that for them. It's hard when it's your mom. It's hard when it's your brother. And they look at you like you feel that you're better than them. And I understand that I'm set apart, but to be abandoned by the person that gave birth to you, that's hard. And that's currently what I'm dealing with. So, but I'm helping change the world. So I'm thankful that God seen something special within me and blessed me with 3 amazing, wonderful children.
Amen.
And trusted
Amen.
me with them.
Wow, that's powerful.
So I now know it took me a moment, but I now know that I did a good job.
Indeed, you did. Indeed, you did. So, with your experience now, what ways do you think that communities, government, whatever it is, can effectively, help prevent gun violence?
I believe that when it comes to all the community and leaders, there's a lot of community organizations that are siloed off. Nobody really wants to work together. Everyone is competing for the same pot. But the thing is, forget that pot of money. Let's focus on what's important. Let's focus on these children.
Yes.
When we were growing up, there was so many things out there for us to do that were safe too. The skating rink, the junction. I had no business being there, but I was there. different like safe parties, just different things that were going on. Let's bring back that. Let's put this money towards giving these kids something to do on this Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday evening, even if it's a movie night with dialogue. Give them something safe to do, and they'll come. Even speaking to some of the kids at George Washington, they want that. They're tired of seeing their classmates disappear. They want that. So I think that if we put more money towards different events for them, and even providing transportation so they can get to those events. And all you got to do is just not set the law, because it's a respect thing earned with these kids.
Yes.
You can't come in just, I need you to do this,
Yeah,
do
can't
this,
tell
do
them.
this.
For sure.
They need
Yeah.
to spend time with you and feel that your heart is pure, because they know.
Yes.
And then they'll start switching their actions up on their own. And then
Come on
that's
now.
when you're able to say little things like, make sure y'all pick up this trash.
Ain't that it?
And they'll do what
They'll
they
do
need
it.
to
Yes,
do.
they do.
The money is out there. Let's put forth the actions so we can save our youth. But again, I sometimes feel like they want our black people to die. They want our
Yes.
black children to die.
Yeah. It's evident. It really is.
It shows every day. So I would like to see something like that happen. I think that would be able to improve where we're currently at.
Gotcha. Ashley, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, they need to change this no carry. Let's start there.
Yes.
The laws.
You know, the laws, and we all know that's an uphill battle with these laws, and politics is crazy right now. But that no carry is ridiculous. Like, who in their right mind would say, okay, anybody 18 and north, whether you got a brain or not, can carry a gun? It's just like, it's ridiculous. And I think right now it's important that we as adults, that we are accountable and teach our kids accountability, as well as conflict resolution, compassion, and communication. Because a lot of these things can be resolved with just those, what I like to call 3 C's: compassion, communication, and conflict resolution. If we can teach that, and even our government and our politics, they need to be accountable and know how to conflict resolution, because they be up in these dang on election meetings and going back and forth like kids. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
And they want kids to act like adults.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I
and
don't
then-
want kids to act like kids, but this is
boy.
what you're acting as.
Right. And then you want to put these laws in place, you know, and you're not even acting the part. So it's like, it's crazy. So it's definitely layers on top of layers that's not going to be changed overnight. I get it. But these are things that I just personally think that would help send our community, you know, even our world in the right direction. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it's just so important that, well, first of all, I'm thankful to be able to have the opportunity to come sit in barbershop talks and partner with Antonio, because I've been wanting to give back for so long, but just have been, you know, clouded with my own vision. So, like I said, Antonio says it all the time, it was nothing but God that brought us back together. But yeah, we gonna have to continue just to do what we can to govern one another and impact the kids as young as we can get them. Because the more they continue to see the negative things, the more they're gonna, you know, lean towards that. So yeah, continue to do what y'all doing, because it is making a difference, clearly.
And there is an agenda out here to confuse our kids.
Definitely.
You know, to just lead them in a different, you know, a lot of times we got to retrain our kids when they come home.
Yep.
You know, we send them out to school and, you know, and they're around their peers. And then when you got home, you're like, nah, we don't do this here. You know what I mean? And so it's definitely a vicious cycle when you're dealing with that. So, yes.
And what you said, we're trained. Like Aiden, she used to go to Tinley since starting school. She went to Tinley. This year we sent her to Jeremiah Gray, so she goes to school from her dad's house.
Okay.
Her first week, she was like, "They don't fight there. Is this how it's supposed to be?"
Right.
Then she's slowly started adapting. She was like, "Oh well, I can't say that because that might cause a little bit of a rift." But at the other school, they fought on a
Anything
daily
goes.
Crazy.
basis. Even had
Terrible.
classmates that were shot, and she's only in the 5th grade now. So, we definitely have to retrain our kids when they go to certain schools in certain environments. But at the same time, what about those kids that this is normal? I act how I act at home. And then we're sending our kids off to school and expecting for the teachers to raise them.
Yes.
It starts at home.
Yeah, the children, they don't have a chance. It has to start at home. And so many homes are broken and misguided. That it's a battle.
So, yeah,
Yeah, at this point, it's a never-ending battle. But
we got to do better.
yeah, we're gonna keep fighting. We're gonna keep fighting. You got anything, baby?
How are we going on time?
What? About another 10 minutes, 5 minutes? Keep going. What advice would you give someone who has experienced similar tragedy that you two have faced? Like, how does that look for you when you're going in these hospital rooms, these homes? Like, how are you facing these challenges, and how are you helping other people? Especially as it relates to healing and forgiveness.
Forgiveness. I ruffled a lot of feathers when I made the choice to forgive who killed Nicholas and Ashlyn, 3 days after he killed Nicholas and Ashlyn? Oh, I said killed. I usually say taken. Look at the growth. If it wasn't for God coming and telling me physically and verbally himself, it probably wouldn't have happened. So I'm thankful that God chose to come down and let me know to forgive him and gave me that choice of doing that. A lot of people, they can't even wrap their minds around forgiving the person that took their child, let alone children.
Right.
But it's for a bigger purpose. And my thing is too, like I tell them when it comes, you can hold on to everything, but that pain and that hatred is going to eat you up. It ain't doing nothing to them.
Preaching.
It's tearing you down. So for me, I chose to release it. That doesn't mean that you have to ever talk to that individual again, see that individual again. You can see them on the side of the road and keep on moving. But you do it because for you, so you could be the better person for not only yourself, but your children and anyone that God puts within your path. A lot of people still can't wrap their minds around it. I think my family still can't wrap their minds around it, even from sending him the letter. There's still people that are upset about that letter too. But like one of them told me, you did it. Those were your children. God blessed you with them.
Facts.
So how you move through this, continue moving, and you're changing the world.
And that's just what life in general. You have to do what's best for you.
So yes.
Ashley.
Yes.
Repeat the question. I'm sorry, I was so deep into
With your experience, how do you go in and help people with dealing with healing and forgiveness?
I talked about that hopelessness. I always just try to give them that hope. Just again, something to live for, speak life into them. As Antonia, she's real big on speaking life into people. And that's very important. Because like I said, once again, that's a trickle effect. Just pay it forward, like on a daily basis. That's literally what I try to do. Just try to be encouraging, try to be loving. And it's not easy because people irritate me too on a daily basis. You know what I mean?
Ain't that it?
And just to know that the people that took my sister's life is still walking around, that's irritating, right? And nothing is being done about it. It's considered a cold case. And what's crazy is when I'm in this role, I don't always lead with that story. When I'm interacting with these people, of course, first, initially, they think that I'm the feds or I'm the police. And then I have to reiterate, no, I'm a civilian just like you.
This. Yeah.
And then after I talk to them a little further, if I feel led, I'll tell them my story, and it kind of helps them open up, and draw them in, and make that connection with them. And so, yeah, that's basically how I operate on a daily basis. And we got this joke that we feel like people, I don't know, it feels like we just have these signs on our forehead. Come talk to me. Dump the load on me. Yeah, like tell me everything you done been through.
I cried from the car ride over to work because it was just one of those days. And then as soon as I get out the car and on my way in, a lady stopped me at the garage. I said, it must say, here, jump your problems. So of course I still
Every day
put me to the back burner and then let them, and then try to encourage them the best that I can, because it's not about me. Sometimes God puts people in your path
absolutely
for a reason, and also to let you know your problem ain't as bad as theirs. And look where I've carried you from. You're no longer there.
And some people just want you to listen to them. Sometimes some people just want you to hear them out. Like, and so when somebody get the rambling, sometimes I'm just listening, you know, taking it all in. I don't even say too much unless they, you know, actually ask me for my advice. But other than
They
that,
just
some
need that
people just want to
listening
be
ear.
heard.
Yeah.
Like that man when we was leaving New Orleans, the Nova conference, and we was only just standing in line waiting to get on
was
the
New
plane, and he just let loose on us.
Oh,
I can't.
Lord.
That wasn't me. I walked away. I can exit real
At
quick.
some point, you
Ain't
got
no
to.
good.
Yeah, at some
Yeah.
point, you got
I
to
be
shut it
exiting
down.
real
I'm
quick.
very good at that.
I knew his
Respectfully,
whole
though,
life
he was talking to
story.
her. So technically, it wasn't about me.
Lord.
Y'all a team, though.
Oh, Lord.
She had it. I love you. One thing I am thankful for, too, that God has even placed you within my life. Because
Amen.
there's not many people named Ashlyn.
True.
Ain't that it?
And then, too, for you guys to have like the same similarities in the personalities and wanting to do hair and makeup and just different.
Oh,
Amen.
yeah, yeah.
It was for a reason. Like I told you, I meant to learn something from you.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate that.
And I'm thankful for you and your whole being, baby.
Thank you. Thank you. I tried.
Indeed.
I am. Can you
No,
tell? Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I love that. I was actually going to ask about the importance of finding community when you're working through grief or even in the jobs that you do. How important is community for you individually?
I think it's important to have that background that like it takes a village is an understatement. Like,
on.
you know, and so I think community is important, like so important. Like I said, I was just blessed after losing my sister, you know, and suffering the grief that I had family and that my parents are still together to this day. You know what I mean? And I think when you have that support, it definitely helps you.
And
It
then
definitely.
a lot of us are going through somewhat of the same things or have experienced some of the same things. So it's nice to have someone that can verbalize what you might have been feeling that you couldn't even put a word to and that can help you through that journey. So I think that having community is important, but at the same time, you still have to be mindful and protect who you're around
Yes, for sure.
because some people can pour from you more than they can pour into you.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I got them energy vampires for sure.
I love that. I love that.
Fuck you to death. Yeah.
So in closing, Antonio, for you, and then Ashley, you can talk about your foundation, or Nike, you can get her with a closing question. What are your future plans for the Untold Foundation?
You already asked me that.
Well, let me ask you this then: how can people get involved and support your cause?
Last year, I took a break. Last year was the first year that I've actually started the process of grieving.
Okay.
And it dang near killed me. My blood pressure, I had to go to the hospital. My blood pressure, I just remember the bottom number being 200. And it was at the time of talking about Nicholas and Ashlyn. So then that's what let me know that I wasn't grieving. So I took a complete break and didn't do the Youth Discovery Expo where we helped youth be able to get partnered with jobs for over the summer to keep them busy because of idle mind. And I didn't do the toy drive. I did the toy drive. I didn't do the back to school drive. So I'm back doing the first thing that I did this year was the toy drive. Next year I'll be doing the Youth Discovery Expo. I'll get my website back up soon because I needed to just let go. But people can reach me. I can put my email in the comments below.
Yes, you can. But you can put it out there as well too.
NelsonsUntold@gmail.com. So we will be doing Youth Discovery Expo and then dressing a couple of people with youth for the prom because I didn't get to experience that, as well as homecoming. We're going to do 2 different Youth Discovery Expos, as well as toy drives and back to school drive this upcoming year.
Awesome.
I enjoy being around y'all babies.
Ain't that it?
Tony, I do love the kids. And I don't know, and I just want to let you know that I've seen because how long we've been knowing it? Because we knew each other a little bit before we started working together too. Just
We
through
met each other
Deandra.
at the
Yeah.
yes, my first time meeting Deandra
Yeah.
was my first time meeting you.
And Tony, she's always been, you know, we've always talked, you know, but I've seen the growth in her as well when she tells her story
Yeah.
and she talks about Nicholas and Ashlyn. And not that the passion wasn't there at first, but she's more comfortable, and I can see that. And you know, she's real strategic with her words. And now, like you just caught yourself saying a
Yeah.
word that you probably wouldn't have said yesterday, right? And so I see that growth in you. And I love that for you. And I just want you to keep going because God has something so much bigger for you outside of here.
Ain't
But
that-
pray for the softness because I still need to work on the softness. Sometimes my delivery could be rough.
It's
I'll
coming.
be like, Antonio.
Practice.
But my heart is good.
Practice.
Yeah,
Practice.
absolutely.
Guys, I do. But
You've
yeah.
Practice.
always, since like I said from day one, Antonio have always had a heart. So
Yeah. What's the future for you in being a grief specialist?
Esthetician.
yes,
Esthetician?
just
Yeah, we didn't even get to talk about that.
giving life, giving life.
And she
You
does a
know,
nice makeup.
Yeah, I try.
You do. You don't try. You do.
I do. You're right. But yeah, just continue to run Innate Beauty and Healing, which is like my spa that I have that I do my esthetician and makeup artistry work out of. We also have our support group for siblings. It's called SCARS. And the acronym is Siblings Changing and Restoring Society. So we're going to continue to do that work. I just give back, and in any way, just continue to spread, my knowledge, my love. I'm real big right now. I'm getting into these schools and talking to our children about gun violence and gun safety, conflict resolution, making better decisions, building positive relationships. So yeah, I'm just gonna hit the ground running, and I feel like, as for me as well, that God has big things coming for me next year, and I'm gonna speak that life into it.
Definitely.
So yeah, and then hopefully I can get some scholarships or foundations going because
Hopefully you will.
I will, and I think Broad Ripple had one at one point in time. I'm not sure what happened to it, but because my sister, she had things going for her. She was a medical assistant. She had her degree when she passed. She was in the process of opening up her own daycare. She loved fashion. She was into fashion designing. I mean, she could look at one of I don't even know if they make those no more, but they used to have these packs where you could like design your own clothes. And she did that. My mother had bought her a sewing machine. She used to make us clothes. So if I could some way, get a scholarship, for girls that maybe is into fashion designing, or something, surrounding medical, daycares, just something, to be able to just have that memory, in my sister's memory. That would be amazing.
Is there anything that you would like to say in closing, either about your sister, either about Ashlyn or Nicholas, or say to them?
That's a tough one.
I would
It's only
say
tough
to
if you
them,
make it.
Right. I know.
I hope that I'm making Nicholas and Ashlyn proud. I miss them tremendously. I hope that they know that I love them and that I'm sorry that I couldn't protect them. So just as far as that.
They know. They know.
Going, my sister has been gone for what I say, about 16 years. And this year was the first time I went to the cemetery by myself, literally by myself. And I just sit there, I talked to her, I shared, everything that I'm going through, everything that I've been doing. But I had it because I felt like the grounds workers, I feel like they was kind of lurking, like, why this girl just laid out on the ground next to this plaque or whatever. But I just want to tell her that I love her, and I'm sorry. I struggle with guilt sometimes, not being able there, but not being able to be there because I was there every day, literally over my sister's house every day. But that particular night, I was not there. And I struggle again with the would-haves, the shoulda, coulda, would-haves. Why wasn't I there? But I know she know my heart. I know my sister loves me, and I'm, do whatever I can to keep her memory alive. Yeah.
Anything?
No, I'm just I'm so inspired. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very, very
Thank
inspiring.
Also, I would love those books that you
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
and for
Grief
to
is
be
Love. I
dropped
can't
down in the
remember the
chat for others as well.
That's
Definitely,
fine.
definitely.
I would
We'll-
like the grief is love.
We'll make it happen. I'll close with this. Our life is a reflection of our repetitive perception. And that's what our kids are struggling with right now. On a daily basis, they are seeing guns, drugs, and violence where they're at, whether they're seeing it in their homes, in the homes of their family members, or the homes of their best friends. So if they see it every day, repeatedly, they perceive it to be okay. And when they look in the mirror, when they look on movies, when they listen to music, that's all they hear: sex, money, and drugs. So they perceive it to be okay. And it's not. It's not. But thankfully, we have people who, regardless of how it looks or how they've gotten there, they are walking in their purpose. They are touching lives, changing lives, adding value. And that's what life is about. How many lives can you impact? Who can you add value to? And our children need us. And I'm thankful that you two ladies, regardless of how it looks like, you were pushed to your purpose and you're answering your purpose. And we thank you. Like my daughter said, we are so inspired by you because we know it's not easy. I can only imagine. But we are so thankful, so grateful that God has touched y'all and is keeping y'all strong and you're answering the call, because a lot of people are not. So thank you. We bless y'all.
And we thank you for giving us, this platform to share, our story. So, and I'm forever thankful, and I'm blessed for sure.
Thank you.
So with desires, everything, we like to say the word die. It doesn't mean die literally. It means every day you should be dying to something that's keeping you from your purpose, that's keeping you from achieving your ultimate desire.
I like that.
So if y'all would join me when I say desires, everything, at the end of it, we're going to say die.
Die.
So this has been another episode of Desires Everything podcast. Never forget that your desire is everything.
Die.